The Chinese colonel stepped over the velvet rope at Arlington like it was a puddle in Beijing, his voice slicing the morning fog. Soldiers salute a superior officer now. Cameras clicked. Tourists froze mid-whisper. A schoolkid tugged his mom's sleeve in wide-eyed shock. The crowd buzzed. Some snickered. Others shifted uneasy, figuring it was just another foreign ego clashing with American show. But the tomb guard, he didn't twitch, didn't breathe wrong, just held that eternal stare, rifle like an extension of his soul, 21 seconds stretching into forever. To the colonel, it screamed cowardice, a tin soldier in a tourist trap. What he couldn't see, what even the rangers circling in couldn't touch, was the fire in those unblinking eyes, forged in Fallujah's dust, guarding secrets that could rewrite alliances. And the call from Langley, it was already lighting up his phone. Before we dive into the story, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe that values like honor, courage, and sacrifice still matter, join us in keeping their legacy alive. The fog clung to the rolling hills of Arlington National Cemetery like a reluctant goodbye, heavy and gray under a November sky that hadn't quite decided if it wanted to rain or just threatened to. It was the kind of morning in Washington, D.C., where the air carried the weight of history, crisp and unyielding, whispering through the endless rows of white marble headstones that stretched out like silent sentinels. Over 1 million souls rested here, from the Revolutionary War to the endless patrols in Afghanistan, each one a story etched in stone, a promise kept under the flag they fought for. And right in the heart of it all, atop the grand amphitheater steps, stood the tomb of the unknown soldier, a simple sarcophagus of white marble guarded day and night since 1921, when the first unknown from World War I was laid to rest. No holidays off, no shifts shortened for bad weather, just duty, pure and unbroken. You could hear it before you saw it, that rhythm etched into the American soul, the slow, deliberate click of heels on marble measured out in 21 precise steps, 21 for the 21-gun salute, the highest honor we give our fallen. Then 21 seconds of absolute stillness, rifle at the ready, eyes locked on the horizon, where the Potomac River meets the Virginia hills. It's not just a ceremony, it's a vow, a reminder that freedom isn't free, and the debt we owe those who paid it with their lives, it's eternal. The tourists gathered behind the black velvet ropes that morning, a mix of families on fall break, school groups wide-eyed under umbrellas, and the occasional veteran in a faded ball cap, hands clasped behind his back like he was back on watch himself. Phones were out, but hushed, because Arlington demands respect. You don't chatter here, you listen. And in the midst of it, rolling up in a quiet hum of tires on the service road, came Bill Harrow, 92 years young, wheeled in by his grandson. Bill was too vintage for a Normandy Beach survivor, the kind of guy who'd seen foxholes deeper than most folks' regrets. "Reminds me of Omaha," he muttered to the kid, his voice growly from a lifetime of cigars and commands. "Only quieter, and thank God for that." But the real story starts a little earlier, back in the barracks of the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, America's oldest active duty unit, the ones who fold the flag at every funeral and march in every inaugural. Sergeant Jonathan Harlan, or Jack to the guys who'd bled with him, was lacing up his polished black jump boots in the dim light of the changing room. 38 years old, built like a middle linebacker who traded pads for precision, Jack had the kind of face that told stories without saying a word, a faint scar above his left eye from a Fallujah dust storm gone wrong, and eyes that held a steady brown of someone who'd stared down worse than parades. He was Hispanic on his mom's side, Texas-born on his dad's, the son of a migrant farm worker who ended up a Green Beret. Jack, he'd followed suit, enlisting at 18, shipping out to Iraq, where the sand got in everything, then Afghanistan, where the mountains taught him patience the hard way. This wasn't his first rodeo at the tomb. He'd earned a silver badge after 9 months of hell, memorizing 150,000 headstones by sight, drilling those 21 steps until his calves screamed, and passing psyche vows that asked if you could handle the isolation. "It's not about standing still," his drill sergeant used to bark, a grizzled Korean war vet with a limp. "It's about becoming the line that doesn't break, because out there in the suck, that's what saves your squad." For Jack, it was personal. His older brother, Tommy, had gone down in a Black Hawk crash over Kandahar in '09. No body recovered, just a dog tag and a folded flag delivered to their mine, Laredo. Tommy was the unknown for Jack, one of the faceless heroes this tomb stood for. Every shift Jack pulled felt like standing vigil for him, a way to say, "I gotcha, hermano, rest easy." He slid the bayonet onto his M14 rifle with a soft click, the weight familiar as an old friend's handshake. The uniform was immaculate, blue trousers creased sharp enough to cut glass, white gloves, spotless garrison cap, angled just so. No jewelry, no watches, not even a wedding band, because up there, you weren't Sergeant Harrow, you were the United States of America. Jack caught his reflection in the locker room mirror, straightened his shoulders, and whispered the oath under his breath. "I will, without reservation, discharge the duties of my office to the best of my ability." Then he was out the door, marching toward the tomb with the relief guard, the morning mist parting like it knew better than to get in his way. The convoy pulled up right on schedule, a sleek line of black Suburbans with tinted windows and diplomatic plates that screamed official business. Out stepped Captain Elena Vasquez, mid-40s, sharp as a K-bar knife, her uniform tailored to perfection over a frame honed by ranger school and a decade of diplomatic wrangling. Elena knew what she was doing. Whispers from Langley said Lee had a history boundary testing. They called it a close call with the U.S. carrier group in the Taiwan Strait last year. Questions that got too pointed at a think tank in Hawaii. This was his turf now, American soil, and something told her he was itching to plant a flag. "Welcome to Arlington, Colonel," Elena said, extending a gloved hand with the firm grip of someone who'd shaken hands with presidents. Her voice was steady, laced with that D.C. polish, warm enough to disarm, steel enough to warn. "The changing of the guard starts in 7 minutes. It's one of our oldest traditions, honoring the unknowns from every conflict since the Great War." Lee took her hand, his shake lingering a beat too long, testing. "Captain Vasquez, a pleasure. Your cemetery is impressive. So much ground for so many ghosts." His English was flawless, Oxford honed, but carried that faint edge like a blade wrapped in silk. He scanned the amphitheater, taking in the marble guardians and the eternal flame flickering at the tomb's base. "In Beijing, we build monuments to the living, to progress, but I suppose every nation has its way of remembering." Elena smiled, the diplomat smile, the one that said, "I hear you," without agreeing. "Ours is about the debt we owe. The unknown soldier represents every service member whose story we never got to tell. It's not just memory, it's duty." She gestured toward the ropes where the crowd was thickening, families snapping discreet photos, a school bus unloading in red, white, and blue jackets. Bill Harrell's wheelchair creaked to a stop nearby, his grandson helping to adjust a blanket over his knees. "If you'll follow me, sir, we'll keep to the viewing area." Lee nodded, but his eyes lingered at the approaching guards already in formation at the top of the steps. His aides, 2 stone-faced majors, and an interpreter with a tablet trailed like shadows. "Duty," Lee echoed, a hint of amusement curling his lip. He switched to English for the benefit of the eavesdroppers, his tone conversational, like he was discussing the weather. "Impressive, yes, but is it combat or just a show for the cameras?" He nodded toward the rope where a mom was shushing her toddler, and Bill Harrow was muttering, "Damn fine marching boys, beats the hell out of Jitterbug." One of Lee's aides translated softly for the group, but Lee waved him off, stepping closer to the barrier. The air thickened, that pre-storm hush where everyone feels it coming but no one says anything. Jack stood at his post now, rifle at slope, eyes fixed on the wreath of white roses at the tomb's foot, the symbol of purity for the unknowns. His mind was a blank slate, the way it had to be. No distractions, no doubts, just the rhythm. Breathe in, hold, watch the horizon where the enemy might come from, even if today it was just fog. Lee removed his shades, folding them deliberately into his coat pocket, his eyes dark and unblinking, locked on Jack, like he was reading a briefing packet. "These men," he said, louder now, addressing his delegation, but pitching it for the crowd. "They stand like this for hours, no movement. In my experience, soldiers who freeze in place, well, they don't last long on the real battlefield." A ripple went through the tourists, a few uncomfortable shifts of phone lowering. Elena's jaw tightens, but she kept her voice even. "It's a deliberate choice, sir. The tomb demands total vigilance. No salutes to passers-by, no acknowledgments. The guard serves the unknown, not the moment." Lee's smile didn't reach his eyes. He glanced at the rope, then back